Okay, today we're going to look at Unit 2, Module 2, Lesson 3, Orientation and Movement Instructions. In this lesson, we're going to look at, in detail, how motion is accomplished in Alice. We're going to look at all of these methods. We're going to look at the move method, the turn and roll method, the orient to, the vehicle property, duration, style, as seen by, turn to face, point at, move to. And each one of those has a different effect on the character. The first one that I want to look at is, what does a turn and a roll do? As you've seen, I have this character up here, Angel, and she has an axis. The green is up, the red is right, the blue is forward. The first action she does is she turns right 1/4 revolution. So when I play this, you can see her actions. She turns to the right 1/4 revolution. So the right meaning towards this red arrow. So it's a, if you're thinking about, she's spinning around the green axis to her right is what she's doing here when she turns. A turn forward is having her spin around the red axis. So she's going to turn towards the blue, but spins around the red axis. So let's take a look at that. It's the second motion. So there's our turn to right, there's our turn forward around the red axis. Then there's a roll. The roll is a little bit different. The roll acceleration is acceleration, and it turns towards the left or right axis. That's different than a turn. A turn can either be left or right. The axis of rotation is the green axis. Forward or backwards, the axis of rotation is the red axis. A roll, the axis of rotation is always going to be the blue axis of rotation, and it's either going to turn to the left or to the right. So let's take a look at that roll. So first, the first two movements. Now it's turned around the blue axis. Okay? So now we have our roll. The next thing we want to look at is orient to. If we look at the angel here, her axis here, the blue here in front, the red is to her right. But the donkey, notice how the axes are the different direction? What I'm going to do is tell the donkey to orient itself to the angel. I'm going to right click on it, go to methods, donkey, orient to as seen by the entire angel. And now they have the same axis. The blue on the donkey is facing the same direction as the blue on the angel. Orient to lines objects up so that way when you do your rolls and your turns, they both have the same orientation. In other words, forward for the angel is now actually forward for the donkey, but it actually looks like the donkey's going to be moving backwards because his forwards is at his rear end, which is odd, but sometimes some of the objects have their axes positioned in different places. So you have to make sure you know what you're talking about. So that's orient to. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is as seen by. We're going to have the donkey move forward. And I'm going to change how he moves forward in a second. So now the donkey is going to move forward 1 meter. When we hit play, the donkey moves forward, it's forward, which actually turns out to be backwards, according to the donkey, 1 meter. But now we're going to change that so it's as seen by the angel. So now when we have a move, he move according to the angel's forward axis, not the donkey's forward axis. So that's what as seen by does. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set the vehicle property of the angel. Right now it's set to the world. we're going to change it to the donkey. This means that as the donkey moves, the angel will move exactly the same way. So that's found under the properties of the angel. Same code as before. When I hit play, they move together. Okay, duration talks about how fast it takes for them to do that movement. So if I change the duration from 1 second to 2 seconds, it will make the movement slower. If I change the duration to 1/4 of a second, it will make the movement happen really fast. That's duration. The style talks about how the motion actually occurs. Either it moves gently or abruptly. And if it moves gently, it can either begin gently or end gently. So kind of think of a fade in or a fade out. Abruptly means it just starts moving and it just stops. So let's change it to abruptly and see what the difference is. See how that worked? It moved just from one spot to another. If I change it to begin gently and end abruptly, it has a different effect. End gently. So it kind of affects where that fade occurs. Either it starts moving slowly and ends moving slowly, or it just starts moving at one speed and ends immediately, or it begins moving slowly and then ends abruptly, or it ends moving slowly but began abruptly. So think of it as like a fade in and a fade out, but with motion. Okay, the next two actions are very similar. They sound very similar, but they do two very different things. The donkey point at makes the donkey point at the angel, but it takes their centers and points them at each other. So the center of the donkey will point to the center of the angel. Turn to face will have the donkey turn to face the angel. It won't have it change angle at all. So I'm going to move the donkey a little bit. I'm going to move him up. Let's take the vehicle out, the angel, and put her back to the entire world. Okay. And we'll move the donkey up. Okay. So see what happens when the donkey pointed at the angel? His center pointed down towards the angel. However, if I disable that and hit play, he just turns towards the angel. He just does a roll, so to speak. So he's rolling around that vertical axis. So he's facing, his front is facing the angel. It doesn't actually point at it. So you got to be very careful with those two and make sure you're getting the motion that you want. Okay, the last motion is move to. This will move the donkey center on top of the angel center. Which you got to be very careful, because if you do that and you don't expect the results, you end up with something very odd. The donkey's center down here is now sitting right on top of the angel's center, which may not be what we wanted. We didn't want to give the angel a donkey head. Or we did, I don't know, maybe we did want to create a cross hybrid. But I don't think it's exactly what we intended to do. So a better operation, instead of move to the angel, would have been for the donkey to move toward the angel, and then we can set how far he moves to the angel. So let me disable this one and see what that does. So now he's moving toward the angel. He's not moving to the angel. Moving to will put them right on top of each other. So be very careful of that. And that is the introduction for this unit. Please make sure you work on the activities, answering the questions, and doing the exercises.